Hello everyone, JDS here. Chances are the fact that you're clicking on this video means you already know that starting with Catalina, macOS drops support for running 32-bit applications. Among other things, this means that you won't be able to play any of Valve's single-player games natively on macOS. That includes the Half-Life series and the Portal series. Valve is aware of this and do not care. They put a note on each of their store pages that this product is not compatible with macOS Catalina. And on the support page, they link in that message their proposed workarounds are either to dual boot Windows or to dual boot an earlier version of macOS. This is all despite the fact that they've managed to get Counter-Strike Global Offensive to work on Catalina and beyond, but who might have questioned the priorities of Valve Corporation? Anyway, obviously both these options suck. What I would like to present with this video is a third option that prevents the need to dual boot another OS or set up a virtual machine or, love forbid, a Docker container. The setup I want to show you is considerably simpler than that. So before Catalina, what you could do is you could install Wine and then install Steam via Wine, but that's not going to transfer to Catalina because the standard version of Wine does not work on Catalina due to the drop of 32-bit support. There is, however, a fork of Wine called Wine32 on 64, which allows for running 32-bit binaries in a 64-bit context. It is available commercially and being developed commercially for an app called Crossover, which this is the team that develops Wine32 on 64, as has been detailed in a number of blog posts on this site. What I didn't learn until about 2 or 3 months ago is that this Wine32 on 64 is also available for free in an application called Play on Mac. And it is this software that is the crux of the method for running Valve single-player games that I want to show to you today. So the first thing you want to do is to install Catalina first. It's important that you do that. My machine is already up to Big Sur even, to demonstrate that this works on that as well. Once you've upgraded to Catalina, then you want to install Play on Mac. It's important that you do it in that order. Once you have installed Play on Mac, you then want to install Steam via Play on Mac. And you'll do that by clicking the Install button and searching for Steam, and you'll select that from the menu and go through the install process. In configuring, you want to make sure you have the correct OS setup. By default, it's going to select Windows 7. You don't want to go earlier than that because Steam no longer supports OSs older than Windows 7. I do not recommend using Windows 10. And the reason for that is you'll see these little top bars on all these macOS windows. That top bar will show up on any Wine window if you have Windows 10 selected for some reason. And that will block all the menu options on the Steam window, which makes it considerably more difficult to navigate in Steam as a result. So you want to stay within Windows 7 to Windows 8.1 as selected. Once again, Windows 7 is the default, so you don't necessarily have to change this, just something to keep in mind. But once you have Steam installed, you can go ahead and launch it. There are a few limitations to how Steam works in this setup. For one, you can't navigate any of the store pages correctly. It fails to load any of the CSS or image assets as you navigate them. If you're on a particularly old setup, it'll just completely show a black screen even without loading any text, or you'll get this invalid SSL certificate like like I got now. This means that if you want to install a game, you first have to go to your Mac version of Steam and buy the game there, and then go back to your Play on Mac install of Steam and then find the game in your library and double-click to install it from there. This has the downside of not being able to install free-to-play games, however, because free-to-play games won't show up here, like TF2 won't show up on this list, Minerva, things like that, if installed via Steam, I should say. You can download mods off the internet and install them like you usually would, but any free-to-play games on Steam, you cannot install them in this setup, so that's one limitation. Also, the chat window doesn't work, but I don't particularly care about that. So because of this limitation of loading assets from the Steam store, I typically just stay in small mode. But aside from that, you can install whatever games you want. As the purpose of this video is to show single-player Valve games, you can see I have all the Half-Life games as well as both of the Portal games installed, along with a number of other mods. I even have Black Mesa installed, which works surprisingly well in this setup, on all the lowest settings, of course. One limitation of Black Mesa is that you do have to use the old game UI command line option or launch option. The new game UI doesn't work for some reason, just gives you a black screen, so have to use the old game UI there. So my recording app is in the unfortunate habit of crashing whenever exiting out of a source game, so I can't demonstrate all these in one take. But I'm gonna put over my voice a supercut of me launching various games from my library from this Play on Mac installation of Steam to demonstrate that I actually know what I'm talking about here. One thing to note is sometimes if you're in a game full screen and you command tab out of it, when you command tab back to it, it will place a window of the game on the top left corner of your screen. Unfortunately can't demonstrate it with the recording because my recording app crashes when trying to demonstrate it. But whenever that happens, you can just command tab away and back to it, and it'll go back to proper full screen. This is true for both source and gold source games. In terms of installing mods in this setup, it works much the same way as it would with Windows. All you need to do is open the directory for Steam, go to Steam Apps, and drop the folder like you would on Windows. For gold source mods, you go to your common Half-Life folder and drop the folder here. So my example, I have Echoes here and Residual Life and AG, play it now. For source mods, goes into the source mods folder. You see I have Ghosting mod here, as well as the old engine variants of Half-Life 2 and Episode 1. Yes, even old engine works in this setup. And when you do that, next time you launch Steam, they'll show up in your game library. One thing to note about playing mods, and I'm going to be showing some footage I took while I was still in Catalina, is that when you first try to open it, you'll get an alert dialog for every single EXE, DLL, ASI, MSI, even BSP files needed to run the game, saying that it cannot be opened because it can't be verified. What you need to do in this scenario, as is being demonstrated now, you need to open System Preferences and go to the Security pane. You want to hit Cancel on the alert dialog, at which point an Allow Anyway option will show in the Security pane. You want to click the Cancel and then Allow Anyway, and then go to the next alert dialog, hit Cancel, then go to Allow Anyway again. Note that these Allow Anyway messages do not stack, so you do have to do them one at a time. You only have to do this the first time you open any particular mod. The second time you try to open the mod, you will instead be prompted with alerts asking if are you sure you want to open it. For these dialogues, you want to hit Open. You don't need to have System Preferences open in this case. Once you've done that for the first 2 times you launch the mod, the third time you launch the mod, you won't get any of those messages and you'll be able to play it like you would any other game. So there you have it. You don't need to dual boot any OS, you don't need to create a VM or a Docker container. All you need in order to be able to play any Valve single player games on a Mac is the Play on Mac application and installing Steam via that Play on Mac. Hopefully you get something out of this and you're able to play these games to your heart's content. Thank you for watching and hope you have a good day.